This is Executive Encore video podcast, where we blend motivation, personal stories, and practical tips to help you prepare for your fulfilling life after 60. Now, today we're going to have someone who's talking about fulfilling life around 40. So we're going to have a nice span of time to talk about that for our 40s, our 50s, our 60s, and beyond. I'm your host, Patricia Muir, and today we're going on a journey through the realms of visibility and how that can really affect how we endure our longevity and our vitality as we women go into different phases of life. I'm pleased to introduce a very special guest today, Danielle Joworski, a woman who is a testament to stepping into her power of visibility and shining the spotlight on who she is at her very best. Danielle is actually known as the Visibility Queen and is a champion for helping other women build competence and comfort to enjoy the spotlight. Before I invite Danielle to share her thoughts, I wanted to share this quote that I found. Like, tomorrow is International Women's Day, and there's a lot of quotes going around, but this one really struck me. Where there is a woman, there is magic. That's by Notaki Change. I encourage all of us to bring our magic out from behind the curtain into the spotlight. So hold that thought as I welcome Danielle. Hello, Danielle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Patricia. Thank you so much for having me here and that beautiful introduction as well. And I'm so excited
Yeah.
to talk about the magic of what happens when we are seen as ourselves.
Yeah. So, tell me what you have seen hinders female entrepreneurs around the age of 40 and above from stepping forward and shining the spotlight on themselves.
Yeah, well, it really starts with the fact that I started going on this visibility journey at 40, stepping off the corporate ladder, starting my first business at 40, having no plans whatsoever, and realizing that putting yourself out there, shining a spotlight on yourself when there's no corporate name or umbrella to hide behind or to leverage
Mhm.
their reputation, it became, it's me. People had to
It's
see me as me, and that was scary.
mhm.
And so it's led me to this journey, I will call it, around looking at visibility and looking at why did I have such a hard time being visible, being seen for who I am. And that's led me to now working with women or female entrepreneurs 40 plus to help them to feel much more comfortable, allowing them to be seen in ways that feel really good to them.
Mhm. Now, you mentioned that there were some struggles with visibility in your first business because you've had a business before and it inspired you to
Yes.
help other women overcome their fears. Can you tell us a little more about different fears that came up for you or different struggles that came up for you that perhaps other women can understand and relate to themselves?
Absolutely. So the first thing is one, I did not grow, being in my 40s, I did not grow up with one of these things in my back pocket or my purse, or just like I grew up again, born in the 70s, grew up through the 80s with the cameras where you had to turn on the flash and you would hear that audible sound, which gave me lots of time to scramble, to hide, to leave rooms, or even to ask whoever pulled out the camera to say, hey, I can take the photo. Do you want me to take the photo? That way I could avoid being in the pictures. Did not like the
Mhm.
camera. So becoming an entrepreneur that first time, video was really starting to become much more popular. This is back in 2015. And social media was really starting to ramp up as well. This is pre-COVID. So Zooms and platforms like this did
Mhm.
not really exist.
Mhm.
But putting myself out there, recording myself, I would spend hours recording videos on my phone only to delete them. Or I would post them and do this, hope that nobody would see it, nobody would comment. Because for one, I didn't see myself as the person who did video. I didn't feel like I looked like the person who would be on video. My idea was TV stars and news anchors. That's who I thought would be on camera. And I didn't look like them. I didn't sound like them. And there was
Mhm.
this story I kept telling myself around who really needs to hear what I have to talk about.
Mm,
There became a lot of self doubt about the need for what I had to talk about, a lot of fear around cancel culture and people not
yes.
agreeing with what I was talking about. So I had a lot of fears, a lot of barriers, basically, and they were all up here, all in my own head, that were preventing me from stepping out, from being seen and heard in my first business. Which, because as an entrepreneur, if you're not seen and heard, you can't be found and hired. So I ended up having to return to corporate to really sit back and say, wow, what a great lesson. No, I
Mm.
wasn't seeing it as a lesson at the time, but really stepping back and saying, there's something bigger going on. I need to learn how to be more comfortable with myself. And I went on a whole other journey around that at that point in time.
Hmm. There's a lot in that, Danielle. I was I was thinking about the fact that you put it out there regardless, but you hoped nobody would watch it or hoped that no one would comment. And that's very interesting. I don't know what's going on for us there. I know a lot of people are more comfortable about being able to put out videos now because they're in control of it. They're not in control of comments coming back, but they know that there are going to be comments. So it's important that they build themselves up to be able to withstand some of the not so nice comments and actually feel good about the real good comments. So there's a lot going on there. And the other thing that when you mentioned about going back or falling back into corporate, you know what came up for me? It's like corporate
What?
holds this curtain for a lot of women. Like if you think of a stage, it's like it's holding a curtain and the corporation will open it up sometimes and then close it down again. But then when you move from corporate to your own business, you are in control of that curtain. And like you said, you need to make yourself more visible because you're not
Yes.
working for the corporation and for their vision anymore. You're working for your vision, right? So
Yes.
interesting about that analogy of the curtain and stepping out from behind the corporate curtain maybe, into the spotlight. What do you think about that?
Yes. I like that analogy, and I'm visualizing because I went to performing arts school from grade 5 to grade 8. I did performing arts, so we did drama, we did productions at our the university in the city I grew up in. I played strings, I did vocal. It reminds me of going back to that where I was literally on stage and the curtain would go up. The
Yeah.
difference between that and being a business owner for me became when I was on stage, I was always with a group of people. I
Oh,
could hide behind everybody else. Or I
mm,
was in a large production we did. I was in the chorus, so I was one of 300 singers. You really couldn't pick me out of a crowd. And so
mhm.
when you're a business owner, though, when that curtain goes up and that spotlight is shone on you, it's you. You are
Yeah.
the face, you are the voice. There's nobody else on that stage. That can be so scary, especially when you look out into into the audience. The lights are on you. You can't see them.
Mhm.
Literally on the stage, you don't see them because of the lights, and it becomes this scary place where you have to trust that you're in the right place, you're saying the right thing. And from a stage perspective, when I was doing plays, we have lines. I would dance on stage, so everything was choreographed. As a business owner, though, there's nothing of that. Everything is
Mhm.
brand new. You're writing the script as you go.
Mhm. 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 So you can write the script, you can choreograph it, if that's if that's how you look at. I think that's a great analogy as well. Like you are creating the stage, the environment around you when you have a business of your own. So I think that's something for women to understand, that even though there's the fear, there's also the excitement of being able to now do that on your own and even invite the spotlight at certain times, and other times you might not want to be in the spotlight. So you've shared some of the visibility fears of female entrepreneurs. Share one or more before I share one about the visibility fears of female entrepreneurs that are 60 plus.
Yes. So and a lot of these fears that I talk about, they are ones that I have personally gone through. And the women that I work with, again, they just naturally have all been 40 plus. It's interesting. I didn't set out to really focus on entrepreneurs 40 plus. They found me for whatever reason. I'm very grateful for that. And the biggest fears that I really see working with them, I can break them down into three things, and the ABCs. A is
Okay.
appearance, B is blunders, and C is the C word, confidence, where it becomes, I know we've already had
The
conversations
C
about
word.
confidence, the C word. And it's, yeah, so it becomes this like the appearance being, I don't look like I'm supposed to look, because we have this perception, like I did, of what we're supposed to look like when we show up in our business, especially on video. The appearance of our background that we're using, and the fear of, again, because we see other people on social media, especially with their beautiful kitchen backgrounds, or they've got these beautiful, luxurious backgrounds of places where they're at, and then we start to judge ourselves and say, well, I only have a small background. I've got a gray wall behind me. And so we start to then compare versus just
Ah,
be comfortable with what it is that where we are. The blunders are B is the blunders around, what am I going to say? What if I speak too fast? What if I freeze? What if I stutter? What if I forget? And especially
mm-hmm.
when it comes to blunders, technology, because technology is
Oh, yeah.
great until technology is not. So it's all these blunders that we can't
Yeah.
necessarily control, that we have a lot of fear around. And then
Yeah.
C is that confidence piece, where it becomes, well, I can't do X. I can't put myself out there because I don't have the confidence. I have to build up the confidence, where
Mm-hmm.
confidence is the outcome of taking
Mm-hmm.
courageous actions that is driven by a belief, that belief in who we are, the need for what it
Yes.
is that we do. That people need to hear us, and we have that unique value that has to be shared. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not called like, so we're focusing on the wrong thing. We're focusing on the outcome instead of
Yeah.
really creating the foundations that will help us to take the actions that will create the confidence.
That's a good point. And so you mentioned another C word there, and that was comparison, right? So that is the other fear. Like even comparing
Yeah.
our background to someone else's background. And I've seen your background in many of your videos, and they are all on brand, I would say. And they are all very clear, and they're all very um, I'm not too sure whether I'd say uh, calm. They're calm. Okay. So there's a blunder. I'm okay with blunders because I'm
Good.
human. I've lived long enough to
Mhm.
know that I've made some pretty big blunders. This is a minor one if I cannot pronounce a word on the spot. So I'm okay with that. One of my fears, I'll just tell you this, was running out of breath. I used to talk one sentence till I was out of breath. So I found that very
Yeah.
comical as I started to do videos. So, well, the other word that we can say, laugh at yourself. It's a comedy in a way. So
Yeah.
laugh at yourself.
Yes.
And it takes the
Yeah.
pressure off. So I'd like to
Absolutely.
share. I would like to share with our audience because many of them are over 40, over 50. Before I do share, though, I want to let you know that it was around my 40, in my 40s, when everything opened up into a different world for me. And you know how we talked about the curtain opening up? I had an experience where I went to this program that was a friend of mine said, Patricia, you got to go to this program. It's just right for you at your age. I was actually 40. And I'd had some transitions in my life. And at the end of the program, we were in this big hotel that had a big, long escalator, blunder again, escalator. And, you know, as I went down that escalator, I felt towards the ballroom, I felt my face relax from my before 40s, where I was very sort of, I wouldn't say tense, but my face was not relaxed. People would, I used to say it's because I'm a deep thinker, but people would remark on it. But I felt as I went down there, it was like I was opening up the curtains. And yes, I'm going to step out from behind that curtain that I've been hiding behind for the last 20 years when I was in corporate. And it coincided with the fact with I didn't move out of corporate. I was kicked out of corporate. So that's a little different experience. So that's another story. So I just want to share for women entrepreneurs who are 60 plus and are going to this phase of life where they're wondering what's next for them. Sometimes they are in corporate and they're ready for that boot out, or at least the opportunity for them to leave on their own if they're fortunate, either way, because sometimes they get a nice package. But one of the fears that women in their 60s and 70s have, many of them mentioned it to me, is being invisible. And invisible
Interesting.
because of ageism. I have to bring that up.
Mm.
They feel like they are not seen and not heard. So that is one of the big fears that I work with my clients about how do we get around that. Now, I do have to say sometimes it's nice to be invisible as well, and I think we have to appreciate that. I, we want to have time on our own, so it's nice to have a little bit of invisibility, right? But
Yeah.
some women are very afraid of not being visible anymore. So just wanted to give that part of the story as well. So what advice would you give, Danielle, or what strategies do you have to help female entrepreneurs age 40 and into their 50s and 60s that are struggling with being visible?
The first thing is find and surround yourself with people who will support you, and you have to almost sometimes become very active in finding those people as well.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when you find they're there, and I want to say too, like, and this is more coming from when I've been doing a lot of networking, and I love getting out and meeting new people. But what I'm finding is a lot of network I'm going to, there's a lot of younger women. Nothing wrong with that. I enjoy them. There's a different vibe, there's a different energy. But I'm really sometimes craving the company of women my age or older. We have more similar experiences. Our children are older. And I love learning from the wisdom of older women. And so I wasn't seeing specifically that, and network in groups, like specifically for me, what I was looking for. So I created it. I had a couple of close girlfriends that I trusted and said, you know what, I want to throw something together. What do you think? And they're like, yep, we're in. And so we had this wonderful, I'll call it a mastermind event where it was all women mid-age plus. So it was 40 all the way into their early 60s who showed up, and we just had these great conversations. So when you're trying to be sometimes visible, and it becomes understanding who do you want to be around? And if you can't find it, create it. And then as
Hmm.
you're trying to grow your business as well, or just feel like people understand you, surround yourself with them. Something I
Hmm.
did when I was stepping out, and so I hosted a TV show for 3 seasons on Rogers. No background in media and broadcasting. I have a microbiology degree. No idea what I was doing. My first 2 episodes were taped together. That evening, I had 7 guests show up at the studio to tape. I hand selected all of those women to be there because I know I needed people who were going to, if you're saying, like, we'll go back to the curtain and the stage analogy, I needed women standing in the two sides, the wings of the
Oh,
stage,
the
who
wings.
were cheering me on. They
Yeah.
were they're supporting me because I did the blunders. I had my self image around a TV host. It wasn't established, but I brought people around me, and specific women who I knew that I could trust, who would support me and would cheer me on. So I think when you're starting to become more visible, finding the people that are going to cheer you on, who are going to help you to soar, who are going to laugh when things happen, that's incredibly important. And it's okay to start small. And I love having a small, very tight network because I
Mhm.
know when I need them, they're going to be there, and then I can grow from there as well.
Yeah. I agree with you. This smaller network, especially at first, because if you're looking for visibility, if you walk into a room full of 4,000 people, you're going to suffer the fears of not being visible for sure. So, and I'm talking about big conferences and things like that, right? And big
Yeah.
networking events. So, yeah, making them small. And I love the idea of you creating them yourself because you have sort of handpicked your cheering section, right? And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I think that's great because that builds your trust in yourself in many ways. And so I think it gets rid of some of those words that we talked about before that are not like comparison and the need to feel confident. If you're with people that um, it's more about you trusting that you've chosen those people who are going to
Right.
bring good vibes into your life. So I love that whole concept of choosing your own network, and being very
Yes.
selective. And I think as we do live longer, we are more selective about the people around us, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like when we're young, we play with nearly everybody and anybody, right? But then we need to be selective as we live longer because we've only got so much energy to put up with some of the things that come with big crowds. So I probably said more about
Yes.
that than I need to, but I'm sure you understand.
No, I liked it. And you used another C word, which is the choice. And
Oh
I
yeah,
love the
okay,
idea
we
about
got
small.
a
Another
good
C
C
word.
word.
We
I
should
I
create
think I'm
a
gonna
list of them.
make a list of C words. Okay. Make sure we got some
Yeah.
good ones on there. Okay, so
Yes.
this is
Yes.
where I go into the segue into introducing the executive encore segment that's called Every Moment Matters. So we've touched on some of those things. There's moments where we feel strong and joy in the company of others. Danielle, can you share a pivotal moment in your life when you recognized a very fulfilling moment or what fulfillment looks like for you, and then you determined what you wanted to do to make every moment matter in your life?
Yeah. Oh, such a great question. And when you're posing that, just what flashed in front of my mind was it was when I was taping an episode of the C-suite. It was the last episodes we were taping at the end of 2019. So 2019, it was December, and we taped the two episodes. And at the end of it, the guests who were there and people brought their plus one. So it was a nice live audience that we had. Nobody left. People stayed to chat, to network, and there was this beautiful energy and just about connection and conversations, and people were talking about, oh, we need to do this together in the new year, and a lot of very collaborative energy. I remember standing back and just watching and
Mhm.
watching everyone else have these conversations and have these moments, and I think that's where it
Oh,
really hit me for the first time. Wow, like, look, not necessarily what I did, but I felt that sense of fulfillment because it became, look, because of the space that I created, look at what's happening right now. People were happy. They overcame their own fears of being visible, being on TV. You can see relationships being developed. People were meeting for the first time that followed each other on social media. It was just such a cool vibe. And I just sat back and I just watched. And I remember feeling so proud, and again that sense of fulfillment and just like, this is what I meant to do. But it only could have happened because I took the courage, I overcame
yes.
my big fears to create the sense of I feel fulfilled, allowing and creating the space for others to shine. And it was this massive shift in how I was thinking and how I was seeing myself.
Mm. So powerful and so magical, right? That moment.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's what you want to bring into other people's lives. Danielle, tell us about how people can reach you if they want to talk to you more about their visibility fears or overcoming their fears in particular.
Absolutely. So the easiest way to get a hold of me is through social media. I am on LinkedIn, Danielle Joworski. I am on Instagram as well, Danielle A. Jaworski. Or you can check out my website, daniellejaworski.com. And I'm more than happy to book a complimentary conversation with others to talk about and create this safe space to talk about what are your visibility doubts, worries, and fears, what's holding you back, and to provide really personalized tips and strategies on how to maybe think about moving forward in a way that feels really good to you.
Yeah, yeah, feels comfortable where you get that sense of joy of the accomplishment, right? And that then you become visible to yourself as well. So you just made me think about that too, like how visible am I to myself, right? And
Yeah.
that could be another conversation for sure. But I want to thank you. Is I will put contact information in the show notes so people will have those links handy for them. And I want to ask you if there's anything else, Danielle, that you'd like to add at this point.
Absolutely. So if people are willing to, if they want to take that deeper look into visibility and really stepping out in ways that feel really good to them, I do have an online course that is available. You can access it through my website, and I will share if you would like to take it. There's a discount code I can share with you. It is Leading Visibly 50, and you can access that to really start creating a visibility plan that's personalized to you, and it's really designed for you at where you are in your business, your career, and your visibility journeys.
Very good. Very good. Okay, well, thank you very much, Danielle. I just want to thank our incredible audience today. I know Danielle, when she let people know that she was going to be on this particular podcast, people were making comments. So I think a few of them may have arrived today and contributed. And I want to thank them for showing up and being visible because we will be sharing this podcast and you will become visible at the same time. So I want you to remember that this is an adventure for you to find joy through your visibility. Danielle can help you if there's some sticking points or some fears that you need to get over first. And I invite you to connect with Danielle. Please join me each week as I write a blog on things like visibility. Like this Sunday, the newsletter and the blog will be about touching on what Danielle and I have been talking about today. So I invite you to read the blog. You can visit my website at patriciamuir.com and read the blog there or on LinkedIn. It's also posted on LinkedIn Weekly. And subscribe to my newsletter so that you can learn more about the topics that I focus on that resonate with women who are moving towards what we call the crossroads of 60. So the crossroads could start as early as 45. That's what I tell women. Start looking then. Or even
Yep.
40 when you're enjoying your 40s so much. I have to tell you, 40s is a great 10 years. So make the most of it, but also be thinking about reaching some of those crossroads, right? And looking forward to even several more decades of fulfillment and visibility. So I often refer to my guests in insights because their ability to share their wisdom and our ability to receive their wisdom is crucial to navigating the chaos and the unexpected detours that we sometimes encounter. And we want to stabilize our life to focus on more joy, fulfillment, and self actualization. So, thank you very much for joining us today and have a very happy International Women's Day tomorrow on March 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you, Danielle.